So we can at least move into the agenda and approve the minutes from August 19th of last month. So again, thank you. Labor Day last week, we were going to try to have a meeting. It's okay. Understand that things pop up. We were unable to do so, but did want to move things along and not wait until what would be our regularly scheduled meeting, which would be next Monday, the 16th. So September 9th today is really taking the place of September 2nd. With that, may I have a motion to approve today's agenda? Oh, let me back up. Actually, let me just do a quick roll call. I've got Danny Steyer.
Yes.
Kaylee Bentz.
Here.
Matt Fogarty.
Yep.
Danny Manning.
Here.
Shelby Lung.
Here.
Thank you. And Lyda Scoggin. I think those are here. And we have Sherry Pryor, Kest Porter, and Michaela Trammell as additional participants here. Okay. So a couple of amendments to the agenda actually before we approve. I'd like to move the Dixie Fire Canopy Project grant and discussion and possible action right up to the front. And then there were a couple that joined us last week, and I discussed a couple items under coordinators update, so I'll continue to talk about those items. But that's really it for substantive changes. May I have a motion to approve today's agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you, Lyda. And may I have a second?
I'll second it.
Danny Steyer, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, so approval of the August 19th, 2024 meeting minutes.
I move to approve the August 19th minutes.
Thank you, Lyda. May I have a second?
Shelby will second.
Thank you, Shelby. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none. Thank you. All right, so again, in the interest of time, we'll get right into the Dixie Fire Canopy Project grant discussion and possible action. So Michaela Trammell, she's on the line. So some of the materials, the A budget and the grant request was included in the steering committee packet for this week in the email that I sent out a week and a half ago. Michaela, if you wanted to elaborate on anything, bear out any additional explanation from last time when we met on the 19th, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so in the updated budget that shows all of the other grants that I had received and how they were spent, I do want to make a note that the Indian Valley Chamber of Commerce is not on there for $3,000. I'm still working on that Microsoft 365 issues with my laptop and everything like that. So I haven't been able to update it, but it was for $3,000 for 8 trees and 4 shrubs to be distributed at local Indian Valley Chamber of Commerce businesses. So that is in there, and the prices are going to be relatively similar to what we had originally budgeted. Anywhere between $250 to $330 were those tree prices. And then the Arbor Day Foundation and FedEx are paired together as one grant because that's how we received it, and we only had to do the one reporting for a total of $45,000, $15,000 from the Arbor Day Foundation, $30,000 from FedEx. So you can see those in there. Since then, we have received funding from private donors, from $2,000 from the Methodist Church, and then another $700 from the Indian Valley Thrift Shop. And that was used to get me here to Fort Worth, Texas for the Trees and Utilities Conference. So you won't see those in there as well. But those are to be noted as well. So I'm here to answer any questions. Our updated budget, you can see where there's a little bit of a difference in prices and tree amounts. We're hoping to do smaller trees in 15-gallon pots, which will be significantly less, and we're hoping to do more trees with that. Our main concern right now is Warner Valley. We had to put off any kind of tree plantings due to the park fire, and so now that they are well out of that danger from that fire, we are ready to get going and get all of the trees planted that we have signed up for Warner Valley and our remaining signups in Indian Falls. And then after that, we would continue our Greenville location and Indian Valley signups as well. We've had a few Chester signups, so we're looking to just kind of continue in the areas that we had been in, but also reach out to those other areas that we were not able to go into. So today I'm here to answer any questions. I know that we're going to make this quick, and I appreciate you all for having me today and letting me talk on it.
So again, for the team that was there on the 19th, if there were any additional questions you had or any additional clarity, just for context as well, just to understand possibilities here with funding. I did speak with Kim Dufour today about the possibility of North Valley Community Foundation providing 50% of the ask here. And so that's something that if the steering committee does elect to vote here, and you can structure the motion in such a way that it's that 50% contingent on a contribution from North Valley Community Foundation to another 50%. Now, Kim, in her own right, does not have the authority just to grant that $25,000 of what it would be for this overall 50,000. However, on Wednesday, their grant council is meeting, and so she could introduce it there, and then again, not 100% chance, not 100% certainty. However, generally speaking, if the steering committee here elects to contribute, the North Valley Community Foundation Grant Council usually takes that as an affirmative response and would more than likely vote in the affirmative to contribute the additional $25,000. So that is something to contemplate as you all thinking about this. It looks like Kelly stepped away for a moment. Matt, do you have something?
I mean, there's not, we could do 25 and those at North Valley could do 25, or we could do 50 and North Valley just does 50. I mean,
I don't know that they would go. I don't know that they would go up and above what the grant asking price is based off of the budget that's been provided.
Got it. Okay, right. Yeah, based on the ask, right?
Yeah.
And
So
the ask is 50,000. Is that right?
the ask is 50,000. So this could be a split between DFC and North Valley Community Foundation at $25,000 apiece.
But if we make our motion contingent on that, does that kind of mess things up?
I don't think so. Like in that it just, it wouldn't be maybe I chose the wrong word if I said contingency. It
I'm
could
not
just
sure
be
you
that,
did, but that's what I heard. So
yeah. If DFC decides to contribute $25,000, that would send a signal,
Yeah.
a positive signal to NVCF to contribute
Okay.
the other
okay.
half, as opposed to nothing at all.
Yeah.
And then that's a way to leverage the fund that they still maintain, that they received separate to anything that the Dixie Fire Collaborative has received. So that would
Okay.
come out of their fund, and then the other half would come out of the DFC fund.
Okay.
I just want to acknowledge the fact that Michaela did talk a lot about this on last Monday, which some people weren't able to hear, but she was just giving us a background and I feel comfortable just speak on my part to the background that she filled us in on and talked about the details. So I guess don't want anybody to feel slighted by her silence here. So she did endeavor to explain when I had questions and I do know that Kim Dufour had some questions, and I believe the way after Michaela explained the spreadsheet a little bit, that the questions that Kim had were also addressed by the way Michaela structured that spreadsheet. So I just want to acknowledge that effort that Michaela's been putting into keeping up with things.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You bet.
Well, if nobody else has questions or comments, I'd move that we approve a $25,000 grant to the Dixie Fire Canopy project.
I second that motion.
Okay, 25, let me just for documentation, approved $25,000 Dixie Fire Canopy project. I'd like to get Kaylee back on here. Let's see, so that we can actually get this voted on.
Guess we gotta make sure that Danny, Katie, and Shelby are available for a vote. I guess they're all muted at this point, so yeah.
Yeah. And so we would, just so I've got this right, the motion would be to approve $25,000 to the Dixie Fire Canopy project with North Valley Community Foundation providing an additional 50%.
Correct, to make that a whole completing the ask, we paid 25,000, right, Lida rather, that's what you were intending?
Yeah, I didn't put in.
Yeah, I think that's
mean,
fine.
I don't think we need to say that.
Yeah,
out. I
okay.
mean, If,
I don't want
if
words
I'm
in your mouth either.
understanding things correctly, we don't have to make it a contingency kind of thing.
Right,
I don't want to put words in your mouth, so go with approved $25,000 to the Dixie Fire Canopy project. I've got a hand up from Sherry or Kest.
Yeah, see if I can. I just wondered, since your intention was to get $50,000 to the canopy project, if you wanted to do the motion so that it's 25 if the North Valley Community Foundation will match it and 50,000 if they won't, so that you're not waiting for another meeting to get there.
And there's another technique.
I was going to ask the same thing. I didn't know if that was possible or how to word that, but thank you, Kest.
Yeah.
on my part, I think it's regardless of how to do that at this point, we still don't have the other three members, so we're not going to be able to vote on the motion anyway.
Yeah, as soon as I can, I just texted Kaylee. Shelby and Danny, are you guys still on? Danny Manny?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
still on. I'm here, Shelby.
Okay. We just need we just need Kaylee. But yes, I agree with Kest's recommendation to at least phrase it. Again, I think with relative confidence, North Valley Community Foundation will contribute the additional 50%, but I think just phrasing it in such a way to make it fairly black and white here.
Okay, I can amend my motion to say that we approve $25,000 with the understanding that the North Valley Community Foundation will provide the other 25, and if they don't, we will.
The $50,000.
Well,
The other 25, so we would get a total of 50. Yeah.
Okay. And then, Danny, are you still seconding that motion?
Yes, I second it as amended.
Okay, thank you. All right. Give me 1 second here.
We need to send a howler to Kaylee's office.
Well, we can come back to it. I mean, we can move on to whatever's next unless we have other action items that we can't do without him.
Yeah. Patrick's on the phone with my thing.
All right, so I just gave a call to see if somebody else was, yeah, maybe he was away from his phone. So, yeah, I agree. We could probably continue on and then we'll just come back to the motion in a second, just so we can kind of work on a couple other things here. Okay, so coordinators update for a few that were there last week. This may be a little redundant, but I just want to I want to bring it up again because we got to keep these things on the front burner. Something that we will need to, not today, but we'll need to get a conclusion on is the initial grant that provided for Hope Crisis Response Network to do the work at Copper Creek Camp. When they did the outfitting of 6 cabins to provide volunteer workforce housing, etc. For HCRN, for Hope Crisis Response Network, in their grant, when they asked in addition for the salary of the construction manager they had working on that stuff, for a tool trailer for him to haul his tools up, and a truck. The truck is a 2018 GMC 1-ton dually. And the understanding within that grant is that when they Hope Crisis Response was effectively, when they were done with the work that they were going to do, that truck and trailer would be available and given, quote unquote, back over to the community. So HCRN, they hold the title, insurance, everything on that truck right now until it needs to go somewhere. And so determination would need to be made on where that truck can go. Either couple options is that it's just donated outrightly to some type of community organization where it has the most community benefit, and that it's used for those purposes. Another option is to sell the truck and trailer, and then the money just goes back into the fund. It goes back into the DFC fund. Well, I mean, I'll get there in a second. It wouldn't just be the DFC fund. So it could be sold, and then the proceeds would just go back to something. Yeah. So the tricky thing is trying to find that community organization that most residents in the area utilize. A couple things have come to mind. Some recommendations like the Community Services District, and that, or more specifically, the Indian Valley Fire Department, as that's a service that most people across the valley have access to, so long as they dial 911. The school district potentially, something like that. So the other thing is figuring out, if you come to somebody and you're like, hey, we've got this thing for you, and they're like, oh, cool, we don't want it, So it's determining who actually wants to take that on to own a truck and a trailer, or if they go separate ways, what have you. So it's something to think about. The tricky thing so what I kind of alluded to a second ago, the tricky thing is that money that provided for that initial grant, it wasn't just the DFC. It was the DFC and 6 other funders that were involved in that at the case. So it was the DFC, the North Valley Community Foundation, American Red Cross, NorCal United Way, UMCOR, Plumas Bank, and I think I'm forgetting one. But there was a group, right? And so that happened at the what was called the Funders Roundtable, and everybody kind of chipped into that pot. So it's something to brainstorm and think about. Like I said, no decision needs to be made today, but put some feelers out and kind of think about. And then what we would do is we would come back to North Valley Community Foundation with a recommendation. And then it would sort of be a collaborative decision on what's the best course of action. So if anybody's got any bright ideas, just email them to me and I'll roll it up into a list and then we can review them at the next meeting or a meeting or two. And then kick that over to NVCF and then go from there. The tricky thing for us, if it hasn't already been made clear, is like anything that's an asset is really hard for us to maintain in perpetuity just because of our sort of temporary existence. And so it makes sense for us not to be a middleman and hold anything, even if it's for like 6 months, because just the paperwork and the drill to go through all that. So it makes sense that HCRN can just transfer title and registration, everything over to that would-be entity, or like I said, the stuff just gets sold and then that just gets distributed back into a fund somehow to be determined.
So here's a question for Mickey. Mickey, is that something that you could use in your operations, that we could kind of donate whatever it is, 25 grand plus a truck? Trailer?
Yes, I had mentioned that in the last meeting that that would be a huge asset to everybody in the local area, so I could get out from under my personal truck. And then I'd even be willing to keep it as like a community truck, just holding the title as a nonprofit, and then other entities of the community would have full access to it as they needed. And then whether I donate it back when we're done in the Indian Valley, Plumas County area, that would be a huge weight off my shoulders with trying to figure out my personal truck expenses.
Is that something possible that we could donate it to the Dixie Fire Canopy? Question for Patrick.
Yeah, it would definitely be possible. I mean, so whether it be like a community organization, another nonprofit, it's definitely in the realm of possibility. So we would want to just kind of get like a short list like that, Matt. So Dixie Fire Canopy Project or anybody else that people are thinking about. And then, like I said, it's a recommendation that they could that the steering committee could collectively make to say these organizations would be suited to receive a truck and a trailer. I think the trailer is like a 16-foot box utility trailer. Yes, Lida, you have your hand up? You're muted.
Expressing my ignorance, what kind of a truck is this?
So it's a pickup truck. It's a GMC Sierra is the make and model.
Okay.
It's a year 2018. And it's a dually truck, right? So it's got the 2 wheels in the rear on the rear axle. So
Got it.
more power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Answers my question. Thank you.
Looks like Sherry and Kest are signing off. All right. So yeah, it's definitely in the realm of reason, Matt and Michaela. And we'll just have to kind of sketch this out, see if there's any other takers, and then go back to NVCF to kind of see what the best course of action is. So Kaylee, thanks for rejoining us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, just want to make sure. So we do have a motion to approve $25,000 as a 50% contribution to the Dixie Fire Canopy Project, with the understanding that North Valley Community Foundation will potentially contribute the remaining $25,000. If they do not, then the DFC will be prepared to contribute the full $50,000. And that was a motion put forth by Lida. It was seconded as amended by Danny Steyer. So now I'd like to get a vote, and I'm going to go one by one here. Lida Scoggin,
Yes.
Danny Steyer,
Yes.
Matt Fogarty,
Yes.
Danny Manning,
Yes.
Kaylee Bentz,
Yes.
Shelby Long.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. So that motion stands approved.
Thank you all
And-
very much.
There you go, Michaela. So I'll follow up with North Valley with these minutes, and then they'll take that into their Wednesday meeting and kind of proceed from there.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Yeah, thank you and safe travels.
Yes, I'll see you guys when I get back.
All right, keep up the good work.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Okay, so, okay, HCR interpreter. Canyon Dam. So two potential projects, with regard to Canyon Dam. One is that, Clint Cobley has been, working on the potential to get, solar powered streetlights in place to Canyon Dam for just added security and safety. And he's been pricing those out. And so he will more than likely go to the large grant or the grant portal with NVCF and on behalf of the Indian Valley Innovation Hub, write a grant proposal for those light set the streetlights. I believe that he was going to try to incorporate something for Indian Falls as well. So he's got a line on some type of unit that he thinks would be helpful there. That's but one project. So I know that he's drafting that and he's working on it. I went up to Canyon Dam last week to just see if I could talk to folks, and I'll get to that in a second. When I was up there, Caltrans was underway surveying the road at Canyon Dam from the intersection with 147 and then back. And according to the survey crew, they didn't want to go on the record, but they were saying that they think Caltrans is looking to widen the road all the way through Canyon Dam. So there could be some changes forthcoming, and I know that there's issues with the easements and setback and all the other things. So anyways, just something to keep in mind as there might be some construction going on up there over the next 2 years or so, road construction. Another thing is I mentioned this to the team last week is that I spoke with Rob Robinette at the conclusion of a RSF meeting, Recovery Support Function meeting. Rob Robinette, in case you don't know, is the Director of Environmental Health. And he had an idea with regard to essentially like a community water system in the Canyon Dam area for both sewer, potable water, and fire suppression system. And so I'm trying to just get some feedback from property owners and really like the one resident in Canyon Dam right now to see if that's something that they want. Some of the financial benefits are that a lot of the property up there is zoned recreational commercial, specifically for RV parks and resorts. And from Rob's estimation is that, as a RV owner, you're devoting up to about a third or so of your property just for septic, sewage, etc. And then, the expense of putting in a single well. The feeling that I was getting is that if the community or if Canyon Dam as what it is, if it had potentially 2 wells, one primary, one secondary redundant, and then water storage for both potable water, fire suppression, that would take the initial burden off of a would-be business owner if they want to open up. So right now, Will Myers has one and Robert Morton has the other, with the one where the post office is. The across the street, I think there's still zoning for 3 additional. So if it takes the initial cost if it decreases the initial cost of getting started to start another RV park up there, then that would be a long-term cost savings to that new property owner. For, say, Robert and Will that already have their systems in place, gosh, what do they do? Well, with, there's the potential where they would just close off the existing systems that they have right now. They have them as backup, but then if they've devoted any other space to their property to, say, like a leach field or something, and then they wanted to then convert that into more RV space, then they potentially have the ability for more capacity. So first things first is just really getting a read on Canyon Dam and to determine if that's something they want. And then beyond that, I was thinking, if the DFC was able to contribute to that in the way, in a similar fashion of helping out the Indian Falls Water District upgrade and operate and get their water system enhanced, right? So again, if that speaks to you, if you have a passion for that, or if that's something you know about, by all means, let me know. But I'm gonna start working on that probably next week. I went up there casually just to see if I could, kind of talk shop. Wasn't very successful. So I'm gonna just try to plan like a little meet and greet at the post office and see if I can get some of the residents or property owners to meet me there and just have a little sit down and see what's up. If anybody's interested, this Thursday, the Plymouth Housing Council, they're going to meet here in the DFC office for 2 hours. In fact, whether you're interested or not, I'll just send you the email invite with the agenda so you can just kind of see what they're talking about. It will be Zoomed, so if you want to tune in and just listen in and kind of talk and hear what the Housing Council is talking about. This morning, myself, parts of the Housing Council, Kim Dufour from North Valley Community Foundation, Matt Fogarty, who's on the call right now, Bill Hubbard. The Housing Council is trying to figure out a way to work local community investment into any type of housing development, whether that's leased housing. So, think 2 to 3 bedroom multifamily homes or residences for working families, and figuring out ways to finance the build and construction of that, and then what long-term financing looks for a single family reconstruction. And it's kind of all over the map right now, but it's really trying to find other models, which there are plenty. Some of them are federally run, some of them are state run, some of them are privately run through private investment. And so the brass tacks of this would be if there could just be a community development fund that's used specifically for housing, and then what is the local entity that would manage that? So Plymouth Bank has said that they don't want to do it, or that they don't have the ability to do that. And so then it's finding another entity that has the capacity to do it, the personnel and staff to run it, and then the know-how. Looked around, there's some entities in Butte County that might be helpful. There's some entities at the state that might be helpful, but that's something that the Housing Council is working on. I wanted to take this moment. Last week I talked about the September community meeting and then the October community meeting. So my recommendation had been to go every other month for the community meetings. And then we did the August community meeting, and there was a little bit of feedback at that meeting to stay monthly for right now. The crux of that for me personally is that I have military duty the weekend that our meeting would fall so there's a few things going on. Saturday the 21st is the day that our meeting would fall. I won't be in town. I'll be at my military duty. Taylor Rogers, who normally does all the audio visual, he has his alternate plans. So he told me that he wasn't able to be there as well. And the other thing is right now I don't really have a lot of submission items from any group or entity that's contacted me to say like, hey, we want to present X and we want to present Y. So it's a pretty, I don't frankly, I don't know what would be presented, is one issue. And then just the issue of facilitating it. So what I'm recommending is that we do forego, and we cancel the September meeting and then stick with the October 26th meeting. Thoughts or feelings around that?
Seems reasonable to me.
Danny Steyer, Danny Manning, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was there at that meeting, last meeting too, and I did hear a few people that seem to want a more, a regular meeting as opposed to skipping, but and hearing that you don't have the presenters and things, and the challenge with who'd facilitate and who would, it just sounds like there's no equipment to do these Zoom meetings, so it's kind of like our hand is forced to everybody. There's no capability to hold a meeting, really.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what I came to today, Danny, is, just kind of looking at it. Kaylee, Matt, any thoughts? Shelby?
This is
present-
Danny. I would say if there's not a lot of interest, like you said, you didn't have nothing to bring, there's nothing to bring.
Yeah. I do know that, like, there's a community football game. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's this weekend. Never mind. There was something else going on that weekend too. But anyway, Kaylee, did you have anything?
No, I think it's just, as already stated, there's nothing to talk about. We can't hold the meeting, can't facilitate the meeting. Why try to have a meeting?
Okay, so I will just, shout from the rooftops that we're going to cancel that meeting and then go with the October 26th meeting. And then
Only if you have a birthday cake for me, Patrick.
is that your birthday?
Yeah,
August 26th?
yeah.
All right.
No,
October.
like that from the record, please. Oh.
Yep, noted. Noted. Just you wait, Danny. Just you wait. We don't mess around with birthdays around here. Okay, great. Thank you for that. So this week, just so you all know, so tomorrow morning, I'm going to head down to Sonoma, an organization called After the Fire USA, which is based there. They're holding a kind of a 2-day leadership summit on all things post-fire recovery. So if you're not familiar with After the Fire USA, to be honest, I wasn't too familiar with them until, once I got kind of acquainted with the basics of this job last fall, and then it was probably around the winter that I came up for air to kind of figure out who else was doing stuff. One of the things that After the Fire does big time is advocacy. So disaster recovery advocacy with organizations like FEMA at the federal level and OES at the state level. Another big thing that they're doing right now is their executive director, her name is Jennifer Gray Thompson. She has been very vocal with regards to the federal tax exemption policies. So she has gone to DC umpteen times, met with various senators and Congress people and other officials to continue to keep that drumbeat going, that the tax exemption for the variety of fires, not just the Dixie Fire, but across Northern California, Southern California in the last nearly decade. But looking at that at the federal level. So the next couple of days, they have, just a list of speakers each day that have their sort of recovery related expertise. What I plan on doing is that I'm just going to kind of go to these workshops or go to these speaker events. I'll take sort of copious notes is what I will do. And then I will email those out to everybody each day. What I hope to include are different links and different bullets. If there's something that, catches your eye that you can then follow up on, and then try to just give a little summary of the day's events so everybody can stay apprised of what that does. I think one of the other benefits that I'm looking forward to is just meeting other long-term recovery group people and saying, hey, what are you guys doing for economic development? What are you guys doing for housing? What are you doing for community projects? What are you doing for this? What are you doing for that? And really just increase that network of of connection, of people that maybe have some pretty good ideas. And if we could replicate and model them, in our environment and save us some heartache, especially if they have a secret sauce somewhere, and we can do it, then, I'd like to try to do that. So if I, just from our conversations and whatnot, if I hear something that I think, oh gosh, man, I think Lido would really be interested in hearing that, I will try to send those points of contact direct to you all, in addition to a little bit of a write-up that I'll do each day, with hyperlinks and stuff. So I'm gonna go down tomorrow morning. The thing starts at, around lunch. And then there's like an afternoon schedule of events. Then it's all day Wednesday, Thursday morning, and then it concludes. So anyway. All right. That's all that I had. I know that we've been talking about economic development, housing, grant writing, community projects, etc. Didn't want to put anybody on the spot. On the economic development piece, and I know that Marcia, Kaylee, and Matt had sent an email to Kim Dufour with just some of the recommendations. I think one of the recommendations you all had was incorporating kind of a business spotlight into our meeting, into our community meeting. That one, we have direct influence and control over that. We could do that. That's a no-brainer. So, like at our October meeting, right? If we wanted to do kind of a little, small business spotlight and showcase and have those business people come and just say, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is where we're located. We can do that every single time and just build that into the rhythm of the community meeting. That one's easy. The discussion around like how do we give businesses money? One of the things that I brought up, because a lot of times when you hear this stuff, it's phrased in terms of, well, these are charitable dollars, so the individual and business thing becomes a problem. As I've been thinking about it, the DFC realized this money only through a civil prosecution of DA Hollister. In fact, it wasn't like there's not the money that North Valley Community Foundation, that's a little bit, those are charitable dollars. So that's a little bit different. But one of the, I'm going to put this, I was looking at this actually today, in fact, and it's from the DA's office. So he's got a pretty good little page on, he's got a good little page on everything that around that civil prosecution, and how Plumas County ended up with that $17.2 million in the first place. Just taking a sec to open here. Sorry, I had it open before and I shouldn't have closed it. Internet slow, but so my point to Kim and Bill is that the money that we're talking about wasn't exactly given charitably. It was PG&E, and just like anybody else that gets there are no riders for what PG&E says you need to spend the money on. And so, one of the things here, if we look at this one, this was a year out summary. I'm going to share my screen here real quick. This is a 1-year summary. So May of 2023 is when DA Hall, you all can see this, yeah? No, now you can. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Got it.
Got it. Okay. So this was just a 1-year summary on where how the DA described how they received the money. And there's a lot of information with regard to how he communicated that in the first place. That's what those links right there. I'm going to scroll down here because there's a matrix of the organizations that received the money. So here's organization number 1, Dixie Fire Collaborative, $3 million, right? So at this point, some of this should look similar, right? Because this is some of the money that, Danny has briefed on, shared prior before Danny, some of the information that's up on our website. This was all updated as of May of 23, so about 15 months ago, 16 months ago. You can still see some of the commitments that had been made at that point, et cetera. All right, so Fire Safe Council. This is the $5 million that the Fire Safe Council got. Gives an example of what they're planning on doing it. What I found interesting is this part right here. Earmarking up to $2 million for grant matching for phase 2 of not but the firewood processing facility, which I don't know what that is, frankly. Has anybody heard anything about that? But they're going to set aside, they have already set aside $2 million for it. And I don't really know what this speaks to. $500,000 reserve fund that allows the Fire Safe Council to pay local contractors in a timely manner. So I don't know what they mean by local contract. What I found that kind of interesting, so if you do a search for businesses here, you'll get, so building organizational capacity for local businesses. This is the Sierra Institute. So these are the groups that have stated they have at least an interest in supporting quote unquote local businesses. You got the Sierra Institute. You've got the Plymouth County Sierra Fair Foundation, which is also in partnership with the Indian Valley Innovation Hub. There are some exciting programs in the works that will help small businesses recover, not only in Indian Valley, but all of Plymouth County. Here's another one, Maidu Summit Consortium. Oh, that refers to their business operations. That's different. This next one, this is Lake Almanor Chamber of Commerce, right? So they received money just like Indian Valley Chamber of Commerce at the same time. As an economic development driver, it would contain a public market space that will create opportunities for various food and retail entrepreneurs to grow and start businesses. La Sierra Chamber, same thing. They've got a nod down here. Where is it? There it is. Website. La Sierra Chamber of Commerce accounts, Facebook, Instagram, and begin promoting local businesses. Chamber Mixer. Support and assist their businesses. Anyway, so I share that, and I talked to specifically, looks like we lost Matt and we lost Kaylee. I shared that with Bill and Kim because the 17.2 was the 17.2 with no real, there's some pieces in here from the DA about what the expectation was in terms of community benefit and how that money should be spared. I'm going to go over this with a little bit more of a fine-tooth comb to see if it says explicitly, do spend the money this way, don't spend the money that way, etc. But in the same vein is that settlement wise, Plymouth County received $7.8 million, right? And for a while, up until anybody said otherwise, they were looking just to roll that into their general fund on things that sure they need it, but it wasn't things that contributed to fire recovery, right? So if that's the case, then what's the standard, right? What's the standard for, this money is for this case only, you can't do this or you can't do that. Now, the bill was pretty clear though on what nonprofits can, generally speaking, can and cannot contribute towards. And this isn't trying to pull wool over anyone's eyes. That's not what I wanted to broach the subject, but so long as it's keeping with all the financial regulations around a tax exempt entity, if there are positive ways to be able to contribute towards a small business doing like their marketing campaigns, especially if that is something that would be devoted towards, say, like the Chamber of Commerce, and it's not specifically on, one business or even maybe even a member, but if they're showcasing the area overall and they're doing a business spotlight, any business, right? that everybody has access to that type of marketing campaign. That might be something that could offset the cost overall business or the overall investment that a business would normally spend on their own to do like a digital marketing campaign or something. So again, it begs further detail, but that was, some of the stuff that I discussed with Bill and Kim today.
And what was their response to that?
Well, it wasn't like an outright no, like you can only do this, it was, let's continue the conversation and kind of on a case by case basis, sort of figure out what is permissible and what's not.
So they don't feel like they would be restricted from being involved in that.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, it depends, it would just depend on what it is, right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but it like, if it was something like, hey, I'm so-and-so and I want to start a business, can I get $50,000? Well, that one would probably be a no,
Yeah.
right? Is that part. But if it's something that, like, I think one of the things that we could do is by hosting like small business workshops, right? Like if there was a fee, like if there was if there was an entity that was focusing on, recreational tourism businesses, and this is how you start a kayaking business. This is how you start an RV resort. This is how you start a fishing guide service, right? If we wanted to like host something like that, and then essentially instead of an entrepreneur having to pay a fee to do something like that, then, is that something we could do? Like, and I think the answer is yes. Like things like that, something that anybody has access to. But if it takes the load off, it takes the burden off of some of their expenses,
Sure.
then I think that inherently helps them in the long run,
Yeah.
So, so Danny, I know you have to go. Danny Steyer. It looks like Kaylee already left. You have something?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up, I know I sent you a note on it, but I was disappointed some of the other members aren't here, but the idea of streetlights. And we talked about streetlights, Canyon Dam and Crescent came up, and I'm going like, what about the streetlights for the Greenfield proper as it's growing? Then we'll have some giant floods that are lighting part of the area, but there's other areas where houses are appearing in with lack of streetlights, and there's, theft that.
Yeah, I saw that. I'll follow up with both. I'll follow up with Kevin. I've got that on kind of like my list of things to do, and Public Works as well.
Right, but I think things like that's what we should look out here and gather from other members, that hopefully that, other members of the community will come to us and we can add voice to that for them.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I wanted to come back, but I better get, so thanks for moving things up and getting, facilitating a good, meeting thus far, Patrick. So
Yeah, no problem. Danny. Thank you for tuning in.
You bet. All right.
I'm sorry I lost track of the time.
That's okay.
I was washing windows.
Gosh, I would look for every opportunity not to wash windows. All right. So what you did miss was an approval of a grant request to Dixie Fire Canopy Project as a 50% contribution from the DFC to $25,000, with the exception that if North Valley Community Foundation does not contribute the additional $25,000 to make an entire 50, that the Dixie Fire Collaborative would indeed contribute the whole 100%, being $50,000.
Okay.
So I got eyes across the board. I don't know if you want to go on the record of supporting it or not.
I would like to go on the record.
Okay.
Did we not have a quorum?
We did.
Oh,
we
did.
did at that time. We did
Okay.
at that time to vote on it. And then I was just filling in the team on a couple other things that have with regard to what we talked about last week, the truck and trailer potential, which Michaela did Roger up that she could use something like that. But really put some feelers out to other community organizations that may be able to utilize a truck and trailer. And then we'll consolidate a list, and then the team can give a recommendation back to North Valley Community Foundation on what could happen, what could happen with that truck and trailer in the long run. And you just missed the whole piece on economic development. I talked to Bill and Kim about your specific email. And there weren't any like flat no's, like, no, you can't do any of that. It was just really kind of a case by case basis, going to have to take a look at things. What I expressed to the other team here is, in terms of doing like a business spotlight at our community meetings, I think we can definitely do that. That's definitely within our influence and control, and we could start that. We are going to cancel the September community meeting, where that one's back off, just because I'm not going to be here. Taylor Rogers won't be here to be able to do AV. And right now I don't really have any presenters. Nobody's said like, oh, I need to
Yeah, that's a
present
good
this. So,
reason.
right. So we'll reattack for October, but I think we can definitely do a business spotlight in the October one. So anyway.
What did they think about the first idea that we had, where Kaylee was talking about people driving through town, stopping at the jerky factory and saying, can we eat here? And not seeing any of the spot. And did they talk about that?
Oh,
And-
I didn't. So signage.
Yes, signage.
So we can do that. We can do sign, but it would have to be signage one, like it's kind of Three Musketeers, right? One for all and all for one.
Yes.
So what we could do is like, we could put up a sign that has, Region Burger and the Way Baby and Indian Valley Grind, anything like that. We could contribute to that. Yeah.
Okay. Would it
That's like
be,
that's like general information and stuff.
but would it be in front of each business?
Is that what you want? One in front of
Well, I'm
each
just
business?
wondering what would be like, for example, the Evergreen has really good deli sandwiches, and you don't know that going by. I mean, the guy that was trying to find lunch, that's another place you can go get lunch, and they're only open until I think 1. But still,
I think so. I think those things would be problematic. But I'll ask. Because again, like, then it would beg this question: why haven't they done that?
Yeah.
Do they not have the ability to advertise, to say, hey, we have lunch here?
yeah. Yeah, and maybe that's what we need to do. We need to talk to them and say, you need better signage.
Yeah, I mean, they have that chalkboard that sits outside, right outside the double doors. Why not move the chalkboard out to the street and just get a piece of chalk and say lunch from 11 to 1, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I can talk to them about that.
Yeah, but I'll ask about individual signage.
Yeah, just as you go by, you're seeing, like, did you notice that Kaylee keeps adding those big banners? He had jerky, he had beer, now he has ice cream.
Ice cream.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, yeah, that's that's like, yeah, I get it. And I think everybody any business owner would gladly accept $5,000 to spend it on something. So that's where we're getting kind of like legality of who did we direct. Danny, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Understand you have to go. No problem.
All right. Yeah. It's good seeing you guys again. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for participating.
Okay. Bye.
But again, it just, I don't know if we can do directly that.
Well,
Is say,
the thing that Kim sent to you said that we could give money to another nonprofit and say we were given this much money for each business to be able to do signage. I don't know. We'll have to find out how much signs cost.
I think the way to do that is to potentially contribute money to the Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah. Okay.
because that's in their bailiwick, right? That's what they do.
Yeah.
And then what we could do, or maybe we could list it as a, thank you, Shelby. Have a
Bye,
great day.
Shelby.
Maybe what we could do is do it as a reimbursement, meaning that the chamber, if we contributed the money to the chamber, and then, a business could they could get reimbursed up to like $2,000 for signage and advertising.
Yeah, and
Something-
then help with finding it on the internet. Matt, when I was with him, typed in Hunter Hardware and it said no business in Greenville.
Well,
Not,
yeah. So, so the Chamber of Commerce last month hired a not a full-time, but hired a PR person that works
oh,
part-time.
good.
And she has been showcasing businesses every week on the Chamber of Commerce Facebook page. So they have a dedicated staff member specifically at an hourly rate to do that.
So can they help put something? So if you go and you type something in on your computer, it would come up Hunter Hardware and give the address on Hot Springs Road. I mean, I don't know how to
Well,
do.
that sounds like so the Indian Valley Innovation Hub, they've been working for the past years on a business directory, right? So,
Right. It's not on there though. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll ask Laura. I know she's been out on some ship picking up plastic.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's, and again, like there are entities that do these things. And so I think a best practice is to reinforce what they're already doing and not to duplicate
Right.
it.
Not a bit
And
reinvent.
the reason that I think like on Facebook, Susie has a different name for Hunter's Hardware on that because the previous page had to do with Main Street. Had to do with the Main Street business. And I believe there are 2 different Facebook pages around Hunter Hardware.
Oh, okay.
So one just says Hunter Hardware, and that's the one that Susie's operating right now. And so that's on Facebook. And then, but there's another one, which was the old Facebook page that they had for the Main Street.
Right. And I
So
don't
anyway,
know. You know
that's
how-
a Facebook thing. That's a
Yeah.
Facebook thing. So I think right now, Susie just doesn't have a website,
And I know that Laura helps people with websites because she's done them for other businesses in the valley. So maybe
Uh-huh.
we need to talk to our local businesses and say, you need to call the Innovation Hub and let the
Yeah,
Innovation
I mean,
Hub do
I
that.
Yeah, they may-
and then if that's like funding that the Innovation Hub could use to then do digital marketing for business on behalf of businesses, then, that seems like a reasonable contribution.
Yeah,
And they might not know that's even an option for them to contact the Innovation Hub and get whatever help they've got.
Oh, businesses?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I know that the Innovation Hub has tried to advertise as much as possible, and they're looking to do more, but I don't know.
I know that the Innovation Hub is working on getting a website that lists businesses in Plumas County.
That's the
But-
business directory. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're passing through town and you need a hardware store, you're not going to know to go there. I don't know. I mean, you'd think if you put hardware store, maybe that would come up. I don't know. It seems like it should. So maybe we just need to talk to Laura.
Yeah, and I think also, talking to Susie about what she wants to do, right? Because it's her business,
Yep.
and it's
Yep.
her prerogative of how she wants to market her business. But yeah, I mean, I think, even a 2x3 sign at the corner of Hot Springs Road
Yeah,
and Highway 89 saying hardware store this way would help.
yeah, would help.
But this is the crux of individual responsibility, right? Is
Uh-huh.
that
Yeah, I know what you mean.
um,
But there's a learning curve, and sometimes people just don't think of
well,
stuff.
so that's another thing is that
Yeah,
like
exactly.
if another thing that how we can support businesses is we can host workshops. Like if the Dixie Fire Collaborative wanted to host a rural small business development workshop, forum, seminar, call it whatever you want. But there are people that specialize in rural economies that could do it all day. Like, hey, this is how you kickstart your business.
This is how, the way you can market it. Yeah, advertise.
And and go beyond that though, like
Okay.
this is, this is assistance. What do you need help? You need help doing the books. This is how you can do that. This is how you advertise. I mean, like the folks that bought Wild Plymouth, that's one of the things that they're really interested in is digital marketing, because they know that they need to go beyond the county's borders to have would-be campers at their
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
So they brought that up, is that's one of the things that they want to do, is they want to be able to purchase more ad space on, or I guess not ad space, but be able to purchase more, like boost their posts, right, in other areas to garner more traction on their social media accounts.
Okay.
But I'll send you a couple of those things this week in a roll-up, Marcia, and I'm going to After the Fire USA tomorrow. So After the Fire is an advocacy group that tries to be a collaborative for other collaboratives, right? Other long-term
Mhm.
recovery groups and all things disaster recovery, fire recovery. So I plan on doing a little bit of a play-by-play each day, summarize just the different things that I'm seeing and hearing, and trying to put you all in contact with, people that might interest you on the things that you're trying to work on. So,
What,
so it's just
for the meeting on
Lida. Oh,
meeting on
yes, go ahead,
Thursday on
The
the housing thing is what time?
it's at 3. I'm gonna send that to you right now.
Okay, thanks.
And Lida, I with regard to your email, oh, I'm sorry. Give me one moment, ladies. I'm sending this out right now. The agenda and whatnot that they have for the housing
Okay.
council meeting. Lida, with regard to your question about debris, brush, refuse
Right.
from so I was thinking that one of these programs from the Fire Safe Council or those like them, like whether it be a chipping program or like an underburn cooperative, and Marcia might be the person to talk to there, but I'm happy to contact the Fire Safe Council, and because what I was thinking was the volume of what you guys are talking about must be huge.
It's huge. Yeah.
So to try to truck that away or do anything else, it just seems like it would be a huge task. But if one of these other, I don't know, like, fire related.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to the Underburn Council because that's clearly one possible route, at least for some situations. But for us, it's an ongoing problem. Like if right now, our property is just covered with dead limbs and things that have fallen down, and I have personally piled them up and burned some of them. But also, we have just piles of this stuff, which and we're not the only ones, obviously, and
Yeah.
other people have brush and so on, and trying to deal with it, like not just now, but like in an ongoing basis is what we're trying to come up with
Well, that's, so that's what I was thinking, the Fire Safe Council, because they have their chipping program, but, Warner Valley is conveniently left off that, and I think that might just be an oversight, right? I just think that, like they don't know what they don't know. And to say like, oh man, this is something that we need to extend to the
Mm-hmm.
northwestern reaches of the county. Because it would seem that would be like, at least not all, but that could be a component to help, right?
Yeah, because it's only 4 foot by 16 foot that you get.
Right. That's
But-
what the limitations of their program pretty much eliminate us as an option.
which one?
So much.
Which one? The chipping program?
Yeah, because you only get 4 by 16 feet.
Oh,
You can
okay.
put
I
out
didn't
there.
realize it was that small.
But I mean, maybe they need to consider modifying their program. I don't know. But
Yeah, I mean, that's fine for that's like fine for like an acre yard, not even.
I mean, we
Yeah.
can't be the only place that's got this issue.
No.
I
That's
mean,
why I
we're just
wonder,
more
'cause,
out there. So,
yeah, I'll start asking around.
okay.
Maybe if I define what the problem is, then someone's like, oh yeah, that's this, like, have you followed up with this group?
Yeah. Okay.
And I
And
know
then
yeah, go
when they
ahead.
chip it, they just leave it there. They don't remove it. And I don't know if that is a problem for some
That's a
people.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, because then you have fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, that's what we're trying to get rid. I mean, like Mike Lee's property, the RCD did their thing on it and they just left this massive amount of slash. I mean, it's just awful. They've planted these little tiny baby trees among these giant piles of slash, and it's like pointless.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. So
So
it's
what about the, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the community hazardous fuel reduction program?
the
I'm gonna put this in the chat.
okay.
This is also Fire Safe Council.
I think that's be a certain amount of acreage.
Well,
They do
Yeah,
shrubs,
I think
they
it's
do
100.
shrubs and small trees and large trees when appropriate in areas beyond 100 feet from a structure or on undeveloped lots suitable for large landowners or small parcel owners who want to work with neighbors to treat 100+ acres within a community.
But that's what
Land
I'm saying. That's what I'm
250. That's
Yeah, that's what I'm
hazardous
thinking.
fuel reduction.
If you could get 100, it says right here, step 2, when we have received applications from landowners who represent 75 or more acres, I think Marcia's right. I think it's actually 100 now. The more contiguous, the better. The council will begin working on your behalf to develop grant proposals to fund the project. But I mean, I would imagine that you'd have 100 acres going from south to north pretty easily. I mean, you're
I mean,
alone
there
plus.
are individuals that have 100 acres.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I think if you blocked that out and just said, hey, this is what we're looking to do,
Okay.
and said, and then apply for this program, and then to see what the cost, like it sounds like they work the grant funding for it, but that would be something else, right? Like I mean, it has the cost per acre right here, but that could also be something that if they're looking for other entities, maybe that's where the Dixie Fire Collaborative can potentially
Okay.
supplement.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
When they reduce the fuels, what does that mean? Do they burn it? Do they chip it? I mean, what does that mean? I don't know. You might want to ask them.
No, I mean, we definitely need to know that. And
Yeah.
all we can do is ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a large part of what they do.
Yeah.
It's the Fire Safe Council. The goal of the council's community hazardous fuels reduction program is to provide technical and cost share assistance to communities seeking fuel reduction treatments. Anyway,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
take a
we'll
look at
look
it, and then there's a point of contact down at the bottom. Rachel Werman.
Okay. Great. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. All right, well.
Okay.
Anything else? It's just the three of us.
Yep.
I think we can't really vote on anything.
Yeah, I don't even know that you could vote to adjourn the.
Yeah, that's true. We'll
um,
see you next Monday.
Yeah, so I suppose we'll just kind of keep with the regular meeting schedule.
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll be
Right.
the 16th. Monday the
Okay.
16th.
All righty.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you,
Thank
Patrick.
you.
Bye, Lida.
Have
Take
a nice
care.
day.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye.